Hey Spectrum, welcome back to another episode of Noise News.
Starting off today, we have an excellent sports segment all ready for you.
Over to you, Ari.
What's up, Sting? It's Ari here with sports. There are no sports again for this week, so our athletes get a break over Thanksgiving. But if you're wondering how to stay busy, there are still plenty of practices going on, both for academics and sports. Hope you have a great turkey break. This has been Ari with the sports for this week. Back to you, Bella and Josh.
Thanks, Ari.
It seems the theme of today's show is students, so our first story will be a spotlight on caffeine and its effects on our very own Spectrum students.
Take it away, Arik and Bell.
An estimated of 80% of people worldwide consume caffeinated products every day, according to Verywell Health.
Well, I used to have like 2 scoops of pre-workout every day when I was going to the gym every day, and that's like 600, so that's like 5,000 milligrams a week. That was really bad.
So I used to drink about 3 energy drinks a day, and plus a cup of coffee, so that was about 1,000 milligrams a day.
Oh, a day, probably 300 to 400 milligrams. A week, something close to 2,000.
Depends. Sometimes I'll have like an energy, like 140 milligrams of caffeine. That'll keep me going for a day.
Caffeine triggers pleasure circuits in the brain's reward system, gives your brain a burst of dopamine. This is the same process that leads to drug addiction, according to Verywell Health.
I went through withdrawal. Like, it sucked. I got really, really sick for a few days, had a bad headache. But then after that got over, like, I felt better that I didn't need, the caffeine to stay awake and stay focused.
I focus on things, so like when I don't have it, I'm everywhere and getting nothing done.
Like, you think I'm bad now? You should have seen me back then. I couldn't pay attention to anything. Also, I didn't ever sleep.
Like any drug, caffeine has its side effects.
Well, it affects my, it affects my sleep schedule, where like some nights I'll be up till like 3 in the morning, some nights my body will just crash and I'll like be dead at 9.
Sometimes I would not be able to focus on homework and classes, especially morning classes, because I go to the gym in the morning.
For the first week, 2 weeks, I probably had the worst migraine of my life.
Oh, it feels great. Makes me feel alive. I can get so much more homework done when I'm on caffeine.
I probably spent about $2,000 on energy drinks.
Like, I built up a tolerance so that even when I drank caffeine, like, it wouldn't really affect me anymore, but I sort of needed it to keep going, and that was just really unhealthy.
For some, those side effects can hit close to home, perhaps pushing some to make a change.
Well, I stopped because my grandpa passed away to a heart attack, and I learned that I have a high risk of dying from heart disease.
In the end, addicted or not, caffeine can be harmful, so heed the warnings of doctors and your peers.
Kind of trying to save my life a little bit by going off of it.
Don't recommend getting addicted to caffeine.
This has been Arik and Bell, Noise News.
That was such an interesting story. I didn't realize the effect of caffeine on our student body.
Me neither. But have you ever thought about the effects of different conditions on plants?
No, but now you have me curious. Let's send it off to our story on how Mrs. Mullet's class is testing that.
With many fun classes offered at Spectrum comes many fun projects and assignments. Miss Mullet's environmental science class is one of them.
I'm hoping to have students test the plants and see what variables affect plant growth.
When you think about something and become creative, you can come up with really good ideas.
I just thought of it. I was like, this would be kind of a cool, fun thing. Plus, it was a way for students to kind of generate the lab instead of just following a cookbook recipe type that some labs can be. So this was more, what are they interested in testing and learning about? And so they picked the variables and are testing those. And so I think that's really cool.
When trying new experiments, you can never expect what's going to happen.
This is actually the first year that we are doing this lab. We did a plant lab last year with trying to grow plants from seed and testing seeds like in light and dark. And the students really liked that, so I wanted to go even further with actual plant growth. And we're using basil and lettuce, so if they do grow, it'd be something that we can actually take home and use as well.
There can also be some excitement in trying new things.
Yeah, so I noticed like during quarantine, I became really interested in plants and started growing plants. And so I know a lot of students also got into plants, so they really like this one because it's real life and you can actually see your results.
We all know how to grow a plant, but there could be other ways in which a plant may grow.
So the students picked their variables. We made a list of variables on the board, and then everybody had to pick a different variable to test. So there's students that are testing whether natural light versus artificial light, because we have a grow light that they're using. Amount of water is another one. When to water is another one, so they're like limiting when they are actually watering. Another group is testing the size of the pots, so little, medium, larger. And then another group is testing music, if that plays a role in plant growth. So one plant gets no music, another plant can only listen to classical, and the third plant has to listen to like Pitbull. And then the very last group, they're testing about talking to plants. So there's studies that talking to your plants helps them grow. So they have one plant where they only tell them scientific facts, another plant that they tell only positive things, and another plant that they yell at and say negative things to see if it changes how they're growing.
As you see here, we have the plants that we're mean to, and those ones we are just bullying them in hopes that they will feel the urge to prove us wrong and grow into really tasty food. And then these are the neutral ones. We really only included them because Mrs. Mollett said we should. And then here are the nice ones. Like, oh, you guys are doing so good. Yeah, smile for the camera. And we're just complimenting them, telling them how amazing they are, just how wonderfully they will grow.
You should always try and find the positives in every situation, even if the situation isn't necessarily negative.
I think watching the students get excited, how excited they were. We started the seeds in paper towels and Ziploc baggies, and you could see them sprouting, and all the seeds sprouted, so they were excited about that. And then kind of watching them set up their labs and stuff, especially the box that got made to contain the plant that was in the artificial light. It was kind of fun to see them get excited about a lab they created.
My favorite thing about this project is that I get to take out my frustrations on these stupid plants. Like sometimes maybe I have a test that I'm nervous about, and I come in and I tell them that it's their fault and that they're worthless and that they will never amount to anything in their life. Or also I blamed them for just a variety of different things. Sometimes I blame them for the weather because that's their fault.
Not all projects have to be boring. Just try and be creative, and you might find that you actually enjoy what you're doing. This has been Aaron and Josh, Noise News.
You guys are the reason the roads suck. Also, you can act gangster and talk all the crap you want. You're irrelevant. No one likes you, and all your friends talk behind your back. So reevaluate your entire existence.
What a fun story and cool experiment. I wonder if that works for fake plants.
I don't know, maybe it does. Our final student-focused story for today is about 3 students with very different jobs at Spectrum.
The floor is yours, JD, Natalie, and Isaac.
Every student has things they do outside of school. Some people play sports, some participate in clubs, but for the students who have jobs,
I work at Guardian Angels, Target and Go.
I work at Making Memories Ceramics. It's a different story. One example of a student balancing student life and work life is Gabby Kappas. Gabby works at Guardian Angels, a senior care organization.
I'm a cook there, so basically when I get there, I'm in charge of preparing the meals, and we have mechanical patients and puree patients, so I'm in charge of like cutting up and pureeing food as well, which is pretty interesting. And then I serve the meal and I interact with the residents, and yeah, that's basically my job.
And Gabby isn't the only one in her family to work at Guardian Angels.
My dad works for Guardian Angels for a really long time. He worked there for 15 years. And so I kind of grew up around like the Guardian Angels company and the buildings, and I know a lot about the company and I really like their message. And so when I was looking for a job, I knew that I'd be treated like family.
Most teenagers get a job in high school to make money or save money for their future, but Gabby works there for a lot more than the paycheck.
I think my favorite part of the job is the residents and my coworkers. I really love my coworkers. They're super fun and super sweet people. And I really love the residents. They always make me laugh. They're always doing like crazy funny things that sometimes I don't even think that they know how funny it is.
A senior living center is a pretty uncommon environment for a teenager. Target, on the other hand, is quite the opposite. Kira Anderson is employed at the Target in Otsego.
I'm a fulfillment worker, so I collect people's orders that they ordered online. It entails me pushing a cart around the entire store and getting a lot of steps.
But when it comes to the social aspect of a job, Kira agrees with Gabby.
I like my job because I have a lot of friends and it just makes me happy.
Even though working at a big corporation can have its downsides,
You have a lot of benefits from the company. You get a nice discount.
sometimes a job can be more enjoyable when it is a locally owned company. Mary Moudry works at Making Memories Ceramics in Otsego.
I have to turn on the open sign, and I have to put away all of the paintbrushes that were cleaned from the day before because I had to dry them. I also put away all of the bowls that we cleaned and the sponges and stuff like that. In the store, I will check all of the paint bottles because if they're dirty, I will clean all of the paint bottles. And I will sweep the floor. Sometimes I'll mop if there are no customers. If there are customers, I will greet them at the door, and then if they have been there before, I'll tell them where to sit and where to go wash their hands, and then I will give them the entire spiel about how all of our paints work.
As most smaller companies are, there is quite a bit of personal connection between the employees and customers.
I check in with people who are already painting. I compliment their colors because everyone is painting differently and it's super fun to see.
One way Mary balances her school and work life is by simply working less during school.
Me and my boss have kind of made an agreement where I'll work 3 days a month, typically on a Saturday.
Whether you work at a big corporation, a locally owned business, or somewhere in between, having a job as a student can be stressful, but even with the stress that can come with a full schedule, being employed during high school can bring a lot of positive things into a student's life. This has been JD, Natalie, and Isaac, Noise News.
Thanks, team.
Well, Spectrum, that's all the news we have for you this week. This has been Bella,
And Josh.
keeping you in on the noise.
So what are you doing? Ugh.
Do you want to stop it and start it so Elijah knows?
So sports.
So, okay, I'm scrolling.
I just need to stop looking so good. I can't.
Well, that was a sleigh.
Josh could be like, I like talking to plants.
I really wish I could yell at that one plant.
What a fun story and cool experiment. I wonder if it works.
Bro, were you guys outside?
Yeah.
Okay, stop the recording.